5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. Tariff has become a kind of threat in the modern globalized economy. Once seen as a tool to protect domestic industries and generate government revenue, tariffs now carry implications that extend far beyond their original economic purpose. They have evolved into instruments of political leverage, economic retaliation, and nationalistic agendas. In a world that thrives on interconnectedness, the imposition of tariffs can create ripples that disrupt international relations, global supply chains, and domestic economic stability. Tariffs are taxes or duties imposed by a government on goods and services imported from other countries. The primary purpose of a tariff is to make imported goods more expensive, thereby encouraging consumers to purchase domestically produced items. While this might benefit certain sectors within a country in the short term, the long-term consequences can be far-reaching and damaging. When countries impose tariffs on each other's goods, it often results in retaliatory measures, leading to trade wars that strain diplomatic relationships and hinder economic growth on both sides. In recent times, the use of tariffs has shifted from being purely economic to largely political. Governments have begun using tariffs as a means to exert pressure on other nations to meet certain demands or change specific behaviors. This weaponization of tariffs turns international trade into a battlefield where economic tools are used to achieve political ends. The threat here is not merely to trade figures, but to the fundamental principles of cooperation and mutual benefit that underpin the global economic system. One of the most immediate consequences of tariffs is the increase in prices for consumers. When imported goods become more expensive due to tariffs, businesses that rely on those goods must either absorb the costs or pass them on to consumers. This leads to higher prices for everyday items, affecting the cost of living and reducing the purchasing power of ordinary citizens. In this way, tariffs can disproportionately hurt low- and middle-income families who already struggle to make ends meet. The idea that tariffs protect local jobs and industries often ignores the broader impact on the economy, especially in sectors that rely heavily on imported materials or components. Moreover, tariffs disrupt supply chains that have taken years or even decades to build. Modern manufacturing is a complex, international process where components are sourced from multiple countries before the final product is assembled. When tariffs are suddenly introduced, it throws a wrench into this intricate system. Businesses are forced to find new suppliers, renegotiate contracts, and absorb increased costs, which reduces efficiency and profitability. This unpredictability makes it difficult for companies to plan for the future, leading to decreased investment and economic uncertainty. Tariffs also have a significant impact on international relations. When one country imposes tariffs on another, it often leads to strained diplomatic ties and a breakdown in communication. Trust between nations is eroded, and cooperation on other important global issues becomes more difficult. Trade, which should serve as a bridge between countries, instead becomes a source of conflict. This situation is dangerous in a world where collaboration is essential to address challenges such as climate change, global health crisis, and international security threats. Another major concern is the way tariffs affect developing countries. These nations often rely heavily on exports to wealthier markets for economic growth and development. When tariffs are imposed on their goods, it makes them less competitive in the global market. As a result, industries in developing countries suffer, leading to job losses and reduced income for workers. This widens the gap between rich and poor nations and undermines efforts to promote global economic equality. The use of tariffs as a threat, therefore, disproportionately harms those who are least equipped to deal with the consequences. In the agricultural sector, tariffs can be particularly damaging. Many countries depend on agricultural exports for a large portion of their income. When tariffs are imposed on these exports, it leads to surplus production and falling prices, which hurt farmers and rural communities. These communities are often among the most vulnerable, and the economic hardship caused by tariffs can lead to increased poverty and migration. The long-term social and economic costs are severe and should not be underestimated. Furthermore, tariffs can lead to a loss of competitiveness in the domestic economy. When local industries are shielded from foreign competition through tariffs, there is less incentive for them to innovate and improve efficiency. This can result in stagnation and a decline in the quality of goods and services. In the long run, consumers end up paying more for lower quality products, and the economy becomes less dynamic. This defeats the very purpose of using tariffs to protect and strengthen domestic industries. Financial markets also react negatively to the imposition of tariffs. Investors seek stability and predictability, and trade tensions create uncertainty that can lead to market volatility. Stock prices fluctuate, investment decisions are delayed, and business confidence is shaken. In this environment, economic growth slows, and employment opportunities diminish. The global economy is closely interconnected, and disruptions in one region can have cascading effects elsewhere. Tariffs, therefore, pose a threat not only to the countries directly involved but to the entire global financial system. In addition to the economic consequences, the use of tariffs as a threat reflects a troubling shift in global attitudes. It signals a move away from cooperation and towards protectionism and isolationism. This is a dangerous path, as it undermines the spirit of multilateralism that has contributed to decades of relative peace and prosperity. When countries prioritize narrow national interests over collective progress, the result is a fragmented and unstable world. The rise of tariffs also threatens international institutions that govern trade. Organizations that were established to promote fair and open trade are increasingly being sidelined or ignored. When powerful countries bypass these institutions and impose unilateral tariffs, it weakens the rules-based system that ensures predictability and fairness in global commerce. This erosion of international norms and institutions sets a precedent that others may follow, leading to a more chaotic and less just global order. Stop.